And then I'll do the same to your national anthem.
Uh-huh.
Bum notes at the end there.
Let's make sure I'm actually recording here. It's showing it on the meter.
This is the song that Buffy Santa Maria wrote that I heard first by Donovan Leach.
Okay.
You remember Donovan?
Oh, sure. In fact, he's going to be performing in up in Northern Ireland with Myrid.
Is he?
About
Are you going to be there for that?
I'm going to miss it, but Donovan's going to be there.
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
He borrowed my guitar in Dublin, this guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, I met him at O'Donoghue's in Dublin. Very famous pub where the Dubliners started meeting up.
Quite a guy.
Oh yeah, he knows. He came to Bergen and he invited me and my wife to his concert there. So I guess it is.
So, let me do this. I noticed here it gave me a low battery indicator,
Okay.
and I've got spare batteries, so I'm going to change them out right now.
He is 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, a Baptist, and a Jain, a Buddhist, and I don't remember the lyrics, but
I remember that song.
she wrote it very young. She was.
And who wrote it?
Buffy Santa Maria.
Ah, but Donovan.
And he made it a hit in Europe, and we all thought he wrote it.
I thought he wrote it.
No. It's her song.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, Donovan apparently is still on the road performing.
Yeah, he's a healthy guy. He's a healthy.
He's performing, what is it, 2 days before we get there, and Myrod's going to be opening for him in at Leo's Tavern. You know the singer Enya?
Anya, of course, yeah.
Enya's sister, Moya, runs the tavern. And Moya's a good singer in her own right. She's going to be performing 2 days after Myrod and Donovan. So we're going to go see Enya and Moya perform. But I had already made other plans, so I can't be there for Donovan. But I told Myrod, you ought to sing with Donovan, Do a song with him. So you knew Donovan?
No, this was only a coincidence in Dublin. He saw me with a guitar case there, and he said, "Can I try your guitar, sir?" "Of course you can, Mr. Donovan." And he was like a regular guy. So then he came to Bergen a couple of years later on, and he checked me up. And he fixed free tickets for me and my girl.
Oh, really?
For the show, yeah. Front seats. And he made a big deal out of having met me in Dublin, and I landed my guitar to him.
So this was in Bergen that you ran into Don.
No, that was in Dublin, at O'Donoghue's in Dublin. I ran into him at this pub. We were sitting at 2 tables next to each other, and he saw my guitar case. And I didn't notice him until he asked me for the guitar. And I said, of course you can, Mr. Donovan. Of course you can. I usually said to people who ask me if they can test my guitar, I said, no, but you can test my toothbrush.
Well, we've got a.
Nobody wants to borrow your toothbrush, so that's shut up.
Well, we've got the camera running, and we've got that running for sure now.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the lights on it.
Very good.
So we're here in Bergen at the Grand Terminus Hotel, and we're speaking with Mr. Fred
Uwe Reksten.
Fred Uwe Reksten. And Fred has we recorded some of the interview with Fred yesterday, and today we're following up with the guitar. Fred has worked with the likes of Ronnie Drew. Fred's own group, the Bergeners, was kind of a takeoff in a Norwegian sense from the Dubliners. And Fred has worked with Ronnie Drew, with the Dubliners. The Bergeners were quite successful in their own right. Fred also has an amazing background of working with a variety of people, including Dominic Behan, the brother of Brendan Behan, the poet. And told me a story yesterday about an evening down in Dublin in which Brendan and Dominic's mother, who was in her 90s at the time.
She was 94 actually.
94. Tell us the story, Fred.
Yeah, we have a presentation at the Royal Norwegian Consulate, the honorary consulate. We were presenting the national instrument of Norway, the Hardanger fiddle, as a gift to the Dubliners. And she was a guest there because she was the mother of Dominic Behan, who wrote my biggest hit. So as an appreciation to that, we invited her. And it was a great presentation, but after that we went to the nearest pub, where she managed to drink me under the table with Irish whiskey.
And now Dominic, you mentioned that Dominic wrote your greatest hit. What was the name of that?
His original version is called Liverpool Lou.
Uh-huh.
And my version is called Jenter fra Bergen, Girls from Bergen.
And how did that collaboration come about between you and Dominic?
It happens that I thought Dominic Behan was a dead Irishman. I thought it was a very, very old song when I first heard it and fell in love with the tune and the lyrics. So I wrote my lyrics in Norwegian, thinking that it was more or less a traditional tune, and it was so long since the man died. But then some Irish people heard my song and they told me that he was very much alive. And I had to start my search for him to get forgiveness instead of permission. So I first went to Dublin. I met his half-brother, Rory Furlong, who told me he lived in Scotland in the countryside, and he gave his phone number to me. So I phoned him up, and he invited me to his place in Scotland. I was there for 1.5 weeks. We were drinking every night, and we were discussing politics. He was a Maoist and a revolutionary Irish Republican man, and I was a pacifist from Norway. So we had very heavy discussion into the early mornings, totally drunk, both of us. And he never changed his mind. He died a Maoist.
Dominic,
he never changed his mind. He thought I was very naive, thinking about peace in Ireland.
And you also mentioned your association with Ronnie Drew and the Dubliners when we spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
You want to kind of elaborate a little on that?
Oh yeah. Ronnie, he was without the Dubliners when I met him. So I invited him to Norway to have some gigs with us in Norway. So he came over for television. He was on telly with us in Norway, and he was 4 concerts. And he was in a recording studio with us, where we recorded 2 of my songs one even in Norwegian language that Ronnie managed to rehearse. Were very convincing with his deep bass voice when he was singing the chorus in Norwegian language. And on the other song, which was an English title song, Sky is the Limit to the Madness of Man, which was an anti-nuclear war song. We went to number 4 in the European charts, where the listeners of the national radios of the different countries in Europe, the listeners had to vote in, and they voted us to number 4 when this song came out. And that's probably the biggest point of my career.
That was the Bergeners recording.
That was the Bergeners with my song "The Sky's the Limit," with Ronnie singing with me, and the best Hardanger fiddle player of Norway on the Hardanger fiddle.
Yeah, you had mentioned that Norwegian fiddle to me yesterday, and this fiddle if you wouldn't mind describing it.
It's got 4 strings like any other fiddle, but underneath there's another 4 strings that you don't play on. It's just resonance sounds, like a drone string. So it makes a more complicated sound picture.
And that's specifically a Norwegian instrument.
Yeah, it's from Hardanger, the most famous fjord of Western Norway. It was 300 years back, way back, they started making those with 8 strings.
Well, would you like to play something for us?
Oh yeah, I'd love to play. Shall I play my examples of national anthems for you?
There you go, that's a good start. Let's do that.
Okay, then first my national anthem for Bergen. That's a 250-year-old, the words, the lyrics are that old. The tune is probably 300 years old, from either France or Germany. And then the national anthem of Norway. And then the American national anthem.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So, I want to revisit a couple of topics we discussed yesterday to make sure I've got them well covered. You were imprisoned for a substantial period of time.
Yeah, they gave me 16 months imprisonment for refusing to join the Norwegian army. And I didn't agree with that, so I escaped to Ireland first because I thought they had more need of a pacifist over there than in Norway. So when I came back, 3 times they put me in prison. And the longest hunger strike I had was 3 weeks. At the last 4 days I didn't drink either. So then I became sick. I was damaged on my liver. I was yellow in the skin and the eyes. So you could tell I was a sick human being. And I stopped drinking that time. The doctor told me that I had only half a year left to live if I didn't stop drinking. So I didn't want to die. I was only 28 years of age. So after 2 years I got normal liver blood tests. My liver was declared well, but I never went back to drinking. I never fancied testing my liver once again because you only got this chance, I thought.
And you were 28 at the time.
Yeah, I didn't want to die.
You're a
I'm
young
64
guy.
today, but I'm still alive and kicking and I love my life.
And your liver's doing well, apparently.
Oh yeah, I'm taking care of it.
Now, back and during that period of time, when you were in Ireland, that's when you met Ronnie Drew.
Yeah.
And as I recall, that was you and Ronnie met in a coffee shop.
Coffee shop. He wasn't drinking that much at the time, so he chose to meet not in a pub. Probably because he had promised his wife Deirdre not to start drinking with this Viking coming over. So we met there and we only drank coffee. I think I had a cup of warm hot chocolate, by the way, but there was no alcohol in our first meeting. So then he invited me home to his place in Greystones, and I was there for a couple of days. And when I escaped, this was long before I escaped for the military business. But when I came to Ireland as a refugee, he invited me to stay in his home for free for months after months. It was genuine. That was genuine Irish hospitality.
And this was down in Greystone.
Greystones, yeah.
Where is that located?
That's south of Dublin, way south. It's about 3/4 of an hour by train along the coastline.
Ah, okay. So you stayed with Ronnie, and that began a lifelong friendship.
Oh yeah. Every time they came to Norway with the Dubliners, when he rejoined the group, they came here to our town, and he phoned me up before that, and we have always had a good time together, and I was always at their shows.
And you mentioned that Ronnie was the one who presented the Bergeners with